The Bronze Age delivers some massive sales in February. Wolverine slashed his way to the top with 2 key appearances, while supernatural legends Blade and Ghost Rider commanded top dollar. And let's not forget Batman's greatest foe from this era, Raja Ghul. Let's take a look at the Bronze Age Chartbusters. These are the books that came out in 1970 to 1985, starting with number 5, Batman 232. This book came out in 1971 for DC Comics. This is the first appearance of Raja Ghul with a cameo by Talia al Ghul, his daughter. This book sold at Heritage Auction on February 25th for $7,200, and that was for a 9.8.
Izzy, this book is as old as I am, and I'm not a 9.8. So that's impressive.
But are you worth $7,200? You don't have to answer that. What can you say about this book? It is iconic. It is awesome.
Yeah, and it like in that grade for that age, amazing.
Mm-hmm. Now let's go ahead and talk about its true value. Do you think it should be worth more or less? Or you think it's at the right place?
I mean, that's in Batman world, that's a main character for sure. But I think outside of, the Batman kind of comic fans, aside from Batman Begins, and even that they didn't really explain it super well. I think Liam Neeson did a great job.
I agree.
But I just don't think that the drive is there as much as for a Riddler or a Joker, obviously, or a main character like that, even though he is a very important character. So I would say that's probably about right. But the condition, obviously, is what garners that value for sure.
He's one of those characters that I think he's not a Golden Age villain.
Yeah.
He's not even a Silver Age villain. So he was created in the Bronze Age. And so that puts him in a different level as far as Batman villains go. He's not within the top range. But he is considered, like you said, one of the most important villains. Because he actually has a connection to Batman that the other villains don't really have. Right? And I think that's what makes him special. Of course, Neil Adams, Denny O'Neil, creation, who could say anything bad about it? And every time you see Raja Ghul, you know something's going to happen.
Yeah, there's always a cool element to the story. I mean, look at all the stuff with Damien, and it's technically his grandfather, and Talia. Like, all those characters are still around, and it just creates really interesting story possibilities, in my opinion. So.
So there you have it, Batman 232. That came in number 5 for $7,200. Let's take a look at which book came in number 4. Incredible Hulk 181, 1974 for Marvel Comics. This book sold on eBay on February 11th for a fixed price of $8,000. The first full appearance of James Houslett, Logan for short. Code name Wolverine.
Yeah,
a 9.2.
I'd love to own this book one day, but it's just this is one of those books that, again, if you look at if we saw the number of slabs of this book, you would just have to kind of go, be patient. Hopefully something will come along. But awesome book, obviously, super important character. I mean, 8,000. Yeah. I'd love to own one of these.
So there's a video out there by Lunch Money Comics. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He went to someone's house and he started looking at the guy's books because the guy wanted to sell off his books. So he invited him over to look at his books. He's going through the books and there were some banger books there in the list. But then when he's going through the books, this book pops out of nowhere. And then when he tells the owner had no idea what the book was. So the owner's like, oh, and he's like, oh, this book is important. It's like, really? It's like, he's like, yeah. It's like, what? So the guy tells him how much, how much is it? Like a couple of $100. It's like, no, like a couple of $1,000. And the guy was like, no, had no idea what his collection was worth.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate that for sure. In this day and age, though, it just surprises me that can happen still, where someone doesn't just like, I get it if you had like a couple hundred books, you don't want to take the time to go through them all, or it's more of a burden. But realistically, it takes probably less than an hour to go through all of them and get an idea.
Yeah. A book that you wouldn't sell this one if you had it, would you?
No.
Same. I would definitely. This is definitely a keeper.
I put it up there right with my first appearance of the furry beast.
It's like turtles, Wolverine. I'll take the Wolverine.
Yeah. Oh, all day over the turtles. I would instantly sell the turtles, even though it's a lot rarer book than this one. The importance just isn't there for me.
All right. Let's take a look at number 3. And that's Giant Size X-Men #1. You were just talking about this book. Came out in 1975 from Marvel Comics. The book sold on eBay February 26th at a fixed price of $10,500, featuring the first appearance of the new X-Men, Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, and the second appearance of Wolverine.
Awesome book. I mean, there's all kinds of debates over X-Men 1 versus, Giant Size X-Men 1. Obviously, you can't have the X-Men without that first book. But
yeah, of course.
This is kind of my era of X-Men. This is the one that I kind of grew up with all of that run. And this is on my radar for sure. This is something that isn't in my collection yet in any form except for the facsimile. But
yeah.
I'm just going to have to bite the bullet on this one because I don't think that it kind of trends down the odd time, but it doesn't ever, bottom out or anything like that.
This is one of those books for me that I probably will pick up raw because I think a raw book is more affordable than a graded copy for the book. The problem with it is the grading part of it, because then you have to pay that 4% or something like that for it, and that could end up making the book worth.
That's another thing about CGC that I'm not a fan of. If I send in this book and I put the value at whatever, because I go, well, I don't know what they're going to grade it at, who knows, and they get it and they go, oh no, this is a 2 points or 3 points higher than you thought. So we're going to now charge you more. Yeah. On the flip side, if I send them a book and I put the value at $400, but it's actually worth more and they lose it, they don't give me the money that it was worth. They give me what I said it was worth. Yeah.
I think that is a shame. Because it's like, oh, we want our piece of the pie because you gave us this book.
Yeah.
It's like, you're doing the same job you would on any other book. The only difference is that the book you have here is a blue chip book. This book has significant value to it.
Yeah. So
you're not handling it differently.
Yeah. Like, what does it say about the process really? And I'm talking to as someone that has, sent before, and I have 50 books there right now. But what does it say about your practice that it's more to grade one book over another? Like, again, to what you said, so you don't care as much about this modern book that I'm sending. You don't spend as much time looking at it, and it's done by different people than this vintage book, even not even one like this. So yeah, it's something that everybody should consider if they are going to buy like a book like this, raw versus graded. Because you got to be able to factor in that cost of grading. It's not the $20. It would be much higher than that.
Yeah. So, but this is a book, and I'm with you. I say obviously X-Men #1. We wouldn't have giant size X-Men if we didn't, if we didn't have X-Men #1. But I have to say this one's more important. I want this one more than I want X-Men #1.
Yeah, me too.
Let's take a look at our. Nah, I doubt it. First appearance of Cyclops or first appearance of Storm. Which one you're gonna pick? Just saying. Anyway, next book in our list, #2, Tomb of Dracula, #10. This came out in 1973 for Marvel Comics. This book sold in Heritage Auction on February 18 for $15,600. This is a 9.8 of the first appearance of Blade the Vampire Hunter.
This is one of those books. It's like the success story of comic books, because when I was collecting, back in the 80s, this was a book that was probably very easy to get and very, very cheap. As opposed to Giant Size X-Men. Giant Size X-Men has always been a major book since it first came out. Whereas this one, it's the first appearance of Blade, which is cool. But at the time it came out, Blade was not very popular really until that movie started to hit.
Yeah. Wesley Snipes changed it all.
Yeah.
So with Tomb of Dracula, could it be that it had a lower print run than, let's just say, Giant Size X-Men? Even though Giant Size X-Men was a test?
I think for sure this had a very low print run.
And thus the cost of the book is so high in comparison. Right?
Yep.
So, and it is Blade. Blade is extremely popular today. We're all waiting for that new Blade movie to come out. When will it ever come out? We have no idea. But his popularity is still up there. And he's still, someone that people want to get his first appearance for. Yeah,
for sure. And, I just rewatched Alita Battle Angel, which has Mahershala. I can't remember his name for sure.
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah. And he is so good. And I just see him now as Blade. And I really hope they make that movie, because I think he would be excellent in it.
He wants to do it.
Yeah.
He wants to do it, but they've been having problems with script, with directors. It just hasn't panned out. And at that point, it's like, when are we going to finally get a Blade?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's #2. Let's take a look at the #1 book that was for Bronze Age, and that is Marvel Spotlight #1, 1972 for Marvel Comics. This last sold on eBay on February 24th at a fixed price of $26,500. And this is the first appearance and origin of Roxanne Simpson. But more importantly, it's the first appearance of Johnny Blaze, the Ghost Rider.
I love this book. I love this character. This is the first major book that I just dove in and I'm buying this book. I have it in a 4.0. I bought it graded.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah. And I've read it multiple times. I love this series when I was a kid. I think all of the covers are amazing. I'm one issue away from having this whole run of not just the Marvel Spotlight, but of the first of Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider series. It's one of my favorites for sure. I have a lot of good memories about this series. So yeah, I love this book.
$26,000 for this book at a 9.4. You said you have a 4.0, right?
Yeah.
Would you upgrade it?
Oh, yeah, instantly. I would trade and trade with other stuff, obviously, or money to get into a higher grade. I don't know if I would ever be able to get a 9.4. Kind of where my head would be at is similar to you. I think I would definitely take whatever comparable grade of a Fantasy 15 over this for sure.
Okay. There you have it. That's #1 for the Bronze Age, Marvel Spotlight #5, first appearance of Ghost Rider. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more comic content. Check out these other videos for even more insight. and I'll see you at the next one. Excelsior.